Carlos and Jane were a perfect couple. Jane was beautiful, with long brown hair and an hourglass figure. She loved to shop for clothes and jewelry, and she wore them all very well. Carlos was handsome, fit, and generous. He loved to spend money on his wife and enjoyed spoiling her with whatever she wanted. They had been married for 5 years, and they were living the good life in a big house in the suburbs. Carlos was also a race car enthusiast. He owned several cars, some vintage models that he had restored, and he loved to attend races whenever possible. One day at a race event, Carlos crashed his car into another driver's vehicle during an accident on the track. He woke up in the hospital with damaged eyesight. He needed an operation to save what remained of his vision so that he could see again. Jane was upset about this news but tried not to let her husband know how much it bothered her. After all, blind people can still be happy. But when they got home from the hospital after Carlos' surgery, Jane began having an affair with Jake, the owner of the other car involved in the crash that had caused Carlos injuries. Jake took advantage of Carlos' wealth and started shopping with Jane using Carlos' money. They even dare to make out even when Carlos is around. Jane continued to care for her blind husband and pretended to do it sincerely. She fools Carlos, leading him to believe that she loves and cares for him even with his disability. Carlos visits his doctor every week, hoping the procedure will go through soon. He longs to live his life again, race his cars, and be with Jane. One day, he was sitting by the pool when his sister Anna visited him. She told him directly that Jane was fooling around with another man, but Carlos didn't believe her. She said he saw Jane with another man in a restaurant, and they very much looked like lovers. Carlos still refused to believe her and told her Jane would never cheat on him. Anna is determined to prove Jane's affair, so she suggests that Carlos undergo an eye operation in secret once a donor is available. Carlos agreed, hoping his sister was wrong and that Jane was faithful to her. 2 weeks passed, and Carlos got a call with good news from his doctor. An eye donor is available. He was so happy and excited to get his old life back, and then remembered his deal with Anna. He called his sister and asked her to accompany him to his operation. He told Jane he would visit his sister Anna and might stay there for a week or so. Jane excitedly agreed, much to Carlos' confusion. He didn't mind it and went ahead with the operation. The operation was successful, and Carlos spent the week in her sister's house waiting for his eyes to be healed. It was time to go home, and Anne asked for one last favor from her brother. She specifically asked to continue acting as a blind man, and she'll prove that Jane is one sneaky woman. Carlos reluctantly agreed and went home to his wife. He was surprised to see a familiar car in their driveway when he arrived. Jane met him at the door, and again to his surprise, a man was standing right behind his wife. He acted as if he didn't see anything, and Jane lovingly led her towards the sofa. The man, who he knows is responsible for his accident, is just smirking at the corner. Jane acted every bit of a loving wife, but whenever they thought Carlos would not notice, they broke his heart right in front of him. He can see it now. What's worse is that he overheard Jane that she only married him for money and never really loved him. Carlos was devastated by what he discovered. He felt betrayed, hurt, and deceived. He loved his wife so much that he would do anything for her. He called his sister, and together, they planned the revenge that would make Jane regret what she did. Carlos told Jane that he would be undergoing a procedure to cure his blindness. He may be able to see just in time for their 6th wedding anniversary. Jane said she's excited and can't wait to celebrate their special day. Their anniversary came, and Carlos took Jane to a fancy dinner at a luxurious restaurant. They had dinner, and Jane said she was so happy his husband could see again. Carlos took out a velvet box from his pocket and asked Jane to open his present. Jane opened the box in a hurry and got confused when she saw a pen. Jane was about to ask what the pen was for, as she was expecting a ring or a necklace. She was about to ask when Anna came out of nowhere and gave her papers to sign. Divorce papers. Carlos revealed that he had been cured for a month now and that he had seen all the cheating Jane did with Jake. Carlos wants a divorce, and she will never get a single penny from him. Jane just cried and watched Carlos with regret as he walked away from her and her life forever. Marriage is sacred. You marry a person because of love, not what your partner can provide. Stay loyal and faithful to your partner, and you will receive the same loyalty you deserve.